This is an example of what the language experience approach would look like in a kindergarten classroom. The teacher would gather the students together around chart paper, a chalkboard, a whiteboard, a smartboard, any place where the teacher has the ability to write down the message that the students share. This can be done in a small group or a large group, but if you do the language experience approach in a large group, you have to be very careful with your time because the students will get restless after about 10 minutes and then you've lost their focus. So the question the teacher is posing for the language experience approach today is, what food should we have at our kindergarten feast? This is something that gathers the students together and allows them to answer easily. There is no right or wrong answer when you're doing the language experience approach, and it's also about a topic the students feel comfortable with. Now, in this case, the kindergartners would have been learning about Thanksgiving and feasts, and so they would all have the background knowledge and the personal preferences to answer this question. So this is what it would look like. The teacher would have the question posed on the whiteboard or chalkboard or smartboard, and then they'll ask the students, what food should we have at our feast? Then the teacher will record each child's answer, or sometimes we don't do all the children, we just do some of the children. It looks like this. Let's say that the first student's name is Shauna. Shauna would say to the teacher, we should have pizza. Then the teacher will repeat Shauna's answer. Shauna said, we should have pizza. Next, the teacher will write what Shauna said. We should have pizza. Pizza. Then she would continue this for the next student. So maybe Ben says, we should have bananas. So the teacher would say, Ben said we should have bananas. We should have bananas. The teacher would continue recording each child's answer, and if you noticed, I said what the child said, so I repeated their words, and then I repeated them word for word as I recorded them. The teacher never changes the children's words. If one of our students said something that was grammatically incorrect, we still write it word for word. Whatever their message is, we want to write it, because the language experience approach allows students to write things or have their words in a written form, even if they can't write them themselves. So this gives them power to create a quality message that they might not be able to write down on their own. It takes that apprehension out of this activity. So I would continue on as the teacher, and then at the very end of the list, we're going to go back and we're going to reread. So if I were the teacher, I would grab my pointer. I'm going to see if I can do this on here. And I would say, what? That didn't work right, did it? Let me see. I'm going to just take a highlighter underneath the words. But as the teacher, I would be following this with my finger. And the children would read along with me. So it would look like this. What foods should we have at our kindergarten feast? And again, the children would read with me. We should have pizza. We should have bananas. And you go on and on and on until you've read them all. And this is why you have to be careful with your time. If you get the words or sentences of too many children, this can take a very long time to record and go back through. So the process of language experience approach is, number one, pose a question to the students that they're familiar about and will have no fear in answering. Number two, record their answers word by word, and you are going to make sure you repeat them twice. Once you repeat the message they say back to you. So if they answer, you repeat their words, and then you write it word for word. And then the third step is, as a class, you're going to read out loud all of the words, and you're going to point to the words as you read them. This gives a lot of repetition because they're hearing the message 3 and 4 times. It also allows them to hear vocabulary and content on a topic that they're familiar with 3 or 4 times. And you can post this in your classroom and come back to it and reread it again. So you're building those concepts of print, top to bottom, left to right, capital letters, punctuation, spaces between words, but you're also building language, sight words, vocabulary related to a topic that you'll be talking about in your classroom. This is the language experience approach. And again, it takes the anxiety out of writing because the teacher is the scribe.